Good morning, friends. It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. Today is rose pruning day. So I'm so excited about this. I've been thinking about it all night. Normally I wait until the end of January to do this, but yesterday I was watching Garden Answer and Laura did all the pruning on her climbing roses in her vegetable garden, and it just got me so excited. It's such a satisfying thing to do, and so I look forward to it. And this mess back here, this huge growth, all of it is going to get cut way back this year. These are about 4 years old. I can't even remember the variety. I'm sorry. I tried to look it up when I put them in, but I can't find the variety anywhere. So I'll take you in closer and show you what we need to do here. But my tools today are going to be my rose pruning gloves. These are pretty thick. I can still get poked through them, but they're way better than regular gloves. I have loppers for like the biggest canes, and there's a few really big ones we need to take out. And then I have hand pruners. These are my Felco 2s for the rest of the stuff. And I have my green bin over here because I'm actually not going to put this stuff in the compost. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it's all healthy, but it takes a long time for these thick canes to break down, and then trying to turn compost with a lot of thorns in it is just not fun. So these are going to go to the municipal compost and they'll be just fine. I also bought 2 4-foot tall rebar sticks, and they're going to go in the ground after we get all the pruning done on either side next to the trellis, right close to it. And I'm going to zip tie it together because this trellis, you can barely see it here, but this trellis was nearly blown over in the wind in a bad windstorm we had a couple weeks ago. And it kind of cracked at this point right here. So I'm just gonna, once we get the pruning done, because as you can see, it's gonna be really hard to get rebar in there and try to zip tie it while all this stuff is still on it. We'll drive the rebar into the ground a foot. Then I'll zip tie the trellis to it. We'll do the same thing on this side because our prevailing winds come from this direction. And so the trellis blew over this way, and that's always the way the winds come. So this will keep it from blowing over. I thought about getting a new trellis, but trying to disentangle all of this, like 5 years worth of growth on these plants, I'm just gonna let, especially if the only problem is just this little piece down here, I'm gonna try to use this trellis for as long as I can. It is technically not a rose trellis, which I didn't realize when I purchased it because I was a lot less experienced. But as long as I trim back all of this massive growth, then we will have beautiful flowers again this year, but the trellis will be under a whole lot less strain. The last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I have not pruned this very hard. I've cut stuff back, but today we're gonna give it a massive pruning. I was, like I said, inspired by watching Laura at Garden Answer do her hard pruning yesterday. And so we're gonna do that today. Now, these are climbing roses. They grow a tremendous amount in a year. In fact, I prune them twice, sometimes 3 times a year, just to maintain some control. The same thing is true of the 4 pillars I have in my cottage garden. We have climbing roses on those too, which will also get pruned. So with climbing roses, you have 2 types of canes. You get a main cane, which are these beasts here. They extremely thorny, as you can see. And then you have these guys. These are laterals. Now, the only place on a main cane that produces flowers is at the very end of the main cane. So unless you want a trellis or a climbing rose that only blooms at the top, you need to encourage lots of lateral growth, and you do that by pruning cuts. So we're gonna cut this lateral, which has been blooming all year, and I've woven it into the structure. We're gonna cut it back to about 2 inches, basically above a node. So here's a node right here. You can see that little band. We're gonna cut it right here. I'm gonna do that over this entire trellis. That's more of a prune than this thing has ever had, but it needs it because the trellis is weighted down right now. And I can kind of reset and start putting new canes, twisting up new canes as they come out this year, instead of trying to work with the ones that are here now, which are stiffer because they've been around for a season. So it'll be easier. It's easier to work with the laterals when they are new because they're green and they're very, very flexible, and you don't have to worry about breaking them if you're trying to weave them in. But the older laterals are really stiff, and so they tend to break when you try to weave them into a structure. The other thing I'm going to need to do is take off some main canes. Now, I haven't really examined this one here yet. This over here, here's a good example. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main canes. This is actually a lateral. But that lateral is coming way out here over other parts of the garden where I don't want it to be. So that will be coming off completely. I'm not going to encourage more growth to that. And I'll take off all the little spindly growth down there, and we probably will cut back maybe one more main cane. It just depends on how the growth looks when I start taking off some of this major growth first. So it'll be a multi-stage process. I'll be pulling off all the big growth, like all this stuff, and I need a step ladder to get up there. Once we get it down, I'll be able to see where I can cut back all the laterals. They'll only be 2 or 3 inches long, and then it will be very neat and tidy. I'm so excited. It's actually really fun to do. I do get sometimes a little caught up in the thorns and stuff, but it's really fun and it's super satisfying. So I apologize. I have a chicken who's laying an egg. They do an egg song, so they sing, and she's singing. Okay, I'm gonna get started, and this will take a while. I've never done this before. I didn't realize this was a thing, but Laura at Garden Answer suggested that you defoliate everything. So basically the plant starts from scratch. So I think I'll do that. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. And then if it works well here, we'll tackle the ones in the backyard. Now, if I have enough hips that are in good shape, because there's a lot of hips on here, but a lot of them are just old, then I'll harvest those and we'll see what we can do with those later. However, I have heard that making jelly from rose hips is actually quite hard because you've got to get the seeds out of the inside. I don't know. I have never done it. If you've done it, let me know. Like I said, I'll harvest the ones that look good, but I don't think there's going to be that many because I waited too long, and most of them are completely spent, like this guy here. That's not worth harvesting. Holy cow, what a difference. Now, I still might come in here and remove some of this. Like I might take this guy out. Mostly just, yeah, I think I will, because you want, part of the process of pruning is to provide lots of light and air so that you can avoid diseases and stuff. And so when there's a lot of congestion, like right here, yeah, that cane needs to come out. Then it makes it harder for your plants to succeed. This I probably will take out too, because it's crossing and it's rubbing on this one, and that will eventually cause, if not already, a canker that will then cause, there'll be a place for diseases to enter. That side I think needs to be a little uncongested more. But we do have some canes from each side that are just one each that are going across, well, two on this side that are going across. These will put out lots of laterals, and as they put them out, I will weave them in. I did a terrible job. I didn't do any of that this year, and so there was a lot of just crazy growth that never got woven into the trellis. This side over here, I took off this big lateral because even though it was a large cane, it was pointing off in the wrong direction. I don't want it to go to the raised bed garden. I want to keep everything tight close up. So this one's looking pretty good. But again, over the next couple days, I'll come in here and look with fresh eyes, and I might see more stuff I want to prune off. I do wish that this cane was like closer to this part of the trellis, but it's the only cane really that I've got going over the top. And so, well, except for this one. And so I'm going to leave it for now. The opening is still plenty wide to get through. But the trellis is okay, except for this end. It's twisted a bit. And I think it's going to be hard, I don't know, maybe not, for me to get the rebar on that side. So I might have to put it on the closer side. But this one I can definitely do on the outside. So I'm going to hammer in the rebar and then twist tie it to the trellis. That should keep it stable for a while, at least until I decide to get a new trellis. This is 4-foot rebar. I'm going to hammer it in a foot, and so that'll be 3 feet above the ground to really help brace the trellis. Camera battery died, so I'm just going to finish this up on my phone, but this is so much better. So I've got the rebar in, nailed it in on both sides. It is really sturdy now. I had to do it on this side. I could have slid it through here and hammered it in, but it would have been really hard to get the zip ties in an appropriate place, but it is really sturdy on there now too. So I have taken off the string, the rope that was holding it up. We're all set, and it weighs a whole lot less now because of all the growth that I took off of it. So I don't think even in wind, we do get a lot of wind in the spring, the Diablo winds. So, you know, there'll be a lot more wind, but that trellis will totally be able to hold up to it. And the rose now has a great chance of putting on a ton of fresh new growth that I can then weave in and make it look even better. It had beautiful blooms this year, but I think this past year, but I think this coming year is going to be even better. So I'm excited about that. I still have 4 more to do in the back garden, but that's going to be for another day. Also, my local nursery is having a sale on some really amazing, beautiful roses. I don't usually, I don't know. I've always been the type of person that, other than the few climbing ones that I have, I don't really have roses. Mostly because I don't enjoy dealing with thorny things, but some of these are so gorgeous. I'm very tempted. I just need to find the appropriate spot for them, which I think is gonna be hard in my garden because all the full sun spots I've pretty much already taken. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to think about that, but we may be taking a trip to the garden center tomorrow to look at some of their beautiful roses. Now, of course, they're not blooming yet. They're sticks, but they'll have tags, and I already have my eye on a few, so we'll see. We might be adding some of those to the cottage garden this year, since I have to do a total overhaul of that space anyway. All right, that's gonna be it for me today, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.